Welcome everyone to Week 3 of Prospect Basketball Weekly, brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings in Mount Prospect. I'm your host, Jack Ankeny, and Coach Cameron is back again to review the Elk Grove and Schaumburg game. So, Coach, thanks for coming on.
Always a pleasure.
So last Friday, the team was able to start the MSL season off strong with a win against Elk Grove.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think you guys did especially well in that game to win?
I think we finally came out of the gates ready to play. Atmosphere was great. You know, Elk Grove was doing a honoring the military night, and so they had a flag that stretched the whole court. They had veterans on hand. They did lights out introductions. They really did an incredible job of setting up the game, and you know, our guys were excited to play. You know, the East Division Friday night games are always ones we get up for, and you know, I credit our seniors and the guys who returned who realized that there were some deficiencies in how we started games, and I thought everybody who played in that first half had a part in taking us into halftime with a lead.
What do you think the difference was in getting off to a strong start, though you started slow a little bit against Fighter?
Yeah, I think, you know, we did a lot of drills this week dealing with ball reversal denial, and Rathy had a great job of putting in some defensive principles and reminding our guys of rotation and closeout angles that I think really helped our defense feed into our offense.
Okay. Do you think that game gave the team confidence heading into the rest of the MSL season?
Yeah, and with the win last night against Schaumburg, you know, that's 4 in a row for the guys, and I think this team is realizing that we have a lot of really good players and complementary parts, and guys just need more time to experience gameplay, more practices under their belt, because we're getting contributions from all over, and we have juniors and seniors alike who are, you know, defining roles and understanding there's some games guys might play a lot, there's other games where guys might not play as much, but that, you know, we're putting prospect first and doing what's best in the interest of the team. Okay.
So against Elk Grove, Jalen McLaughlin kind of excited the team with a nice dunk against them. How has he emerged for the team this season?
He's been great. You know, he's one of the better athletes we've had in our program in a while. You know, and I think his length and his ability to get to the rim has always helped. You know, I think he can disrupt some defenses with his play up top, especially when he plays up top during our zone. And I think he's starting to realize, you know, the talent that he has and the amount of effort he puts in is going to be the result that he and the rest of the team gets out.
Okay. So on Tuesday night, you guys got a win over Schaumburg. David Sturr, 27 points. What do you think was the biggest key to winning that game?
Yeah, well, the first thing I would say is you got to credit Schaumburg. You know, they came out and threw a defense at us that we hadn't seen in any of the scouts. You know, they had shown a pressing defense, man defense, switching defense, but all man-to-man. And then all of a sudden they came out, and for a good chunk of the game, both in the first half and the second half, they zoned us. And so we needed someone, and I think the game was sort of tailor-made for Dave as a point guard who's been through it and for now into his third year. He was very comfortable reacting to something that nobody was prepared for. And I think that can't be understated. And I was proud of his leadership, but also proud of how the rest of the team, you know, recognized what needed to be done and executed to the best of their ability and got us the win. Okay.
So earlier in the season, after playing 4 games in 5 days in the Viter tournament, you guys have had a lot more time to practice heading in Elk Grove, Schaumburg, and now Hersey. What do you think is something the team has been focusing on the most during practice?
We've talked a lot about communication and helping this team find its own identity and find its own voice. You know, the X's and O's part I've actually been pretty happy with. You know, offensively we're getting better at making sure to not only look to the perimeter but also look inside and to cutters going to the hoop. I feel really good about that balance, and guys are very receptive and coachable when it comes to that. But I think the biggest thing this team is starting to recognize is that their voice on the floor matters, and how they communicate defensively in defensive transition. We've noticed a real change in the guys on the floor, and even, I'll say this, if you watch, the guys on our bench who are also talking to their teammates on the floor. Last night was perfect, and it wasn't a huge crowd last night, and it was really great to see guys on the bench communicating with the guys on the floor.
Okay, thank you, Coach Camardella. And next up will be an interview with senior Pat McPartland.
Welcome back to Prospect Basketball Weekly, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings in Mount Prospect. I'm here with senior forward Pat McPartland. Pat, thanks for being on the show.
Happy to be here.
Against Elk Grove, what did you do to limit their success?
Really against Elk Grove, we had a pretty detailed scouting report on them. We knew that they really had one main returner who was going to be kind of a key contributor for their offense. We tried doing a good job to force him to his right hand, him being a lefty, and really we tried to capitalize off their mistakes and come out early as we maybe lacked to do in some previous games, and so coming out strong early was one of our key.
Though Elk Grove might not be a great team, what kind of confidence do you think this game gives you for the rest of the season?
Games like Elk Grove are confidence boosters, but I really think that our confidence that allowed us to beat Elk Grove was really coming from the win against Libertyville. After we took a loss to St. Viator, we kind of had that day break to come back against Libertyville, and I think that Libertyville game was really a big key to bringing our confidence up as a team and allowing us to come out strong against Elk Grove.
How would you describe your role or impact on this year's team?
I think my role, I try to make sure everyone's in the right place, right time. I try to make sure everyone's mind's in the right place, and I try to be a leader on and off the basketball court for the guys.
Absolutely. Looking to next week, Hersey has a good amount of height on their team. What will you need to do to control the glass against them?
It'll be really important that we find a body and box out and have everyone going for boards. I mean, they might have some more height than us, but I think that if we able to match up against guys and box out and get a board, then I think we'll have an advantage.
Definitely. In your first home game as a senior, what do you expect the atmosphere to be like on Friday night against Hersey?
Friday night against Hersey, home game. It'll be a bittersweet moment being for the seniors. It will be their last time playing Hersey at home, which is kind of crazy, but I think that hopefully we'll be able to get some people out and have a really high atmosphere in the gym and really kind of bring the energy up in the game.
Absolutely. That's all we have for Pat. Stay tuned for an interview with sophomore boys head coach Bob Reibel.
Welcome back to Prospect Basketball Weekly, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings in Mount Prospect. I'm here with head sophomore coach Bob Reibel. Coach, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
How has the sophomore team season started off this year?
We've started off kind of up and down. We actually had to put 2 teams into our Thanksgiving tournament, so we split our squad in half, which is always an interesting start. Don't kind of get to see guys as a unit. But since then, our 2 games since we've been full squad, we've come out, we've played very well, both sides of the ball, getting a lot of contributions from everyone.
Who have been some of the team's key contributors?
It's gone game by game. We're actually very deep in the last 2 games since we've had our full group. We've had over 10 guys score in each game, which isn't something you see all the time. One game it's this guy, one game it's that guy, one quarter it's this guy, one good quarter it's that guy. So it's kind of come from everywhere, which is a good thing to have.
In your first season as head sophomore coach, what kind of attitude or culture are you trying to build for this program going down the line?
I think the biggest thing for me is just teams that work hard and want to out-battle you. We don't always need the best talent. I think my guys and anyone who I've coached, in the past couple of years will tell you that I don't usually let our guys get away with anything. The smallest thing, I try to bring that, I try to put that on them so that they know and they can bring that to the next level. And it doesn't always need to come from coach, it comes from them.
What do you think makes this team special compared to teams you've coached in or been a part of in years past?
I think part of it is the depth, like I said. I think it's going to be game by game. Who's our guy? Who has the best matchup? Who can take advantage of where they're at? There's a lot of depth. I've felt comfortable going very deep. It's not something we always have. A lot of times it's 8 at most. Here we're going 10 to 12, and comfortably, and being able to do that. So I think having that ability to do that is something that will help me as a coach and help them as a group.
What will this team need to do against Hersey on Friday to come out with a win?
So Hersey's they're gonna try to speed up the game. They're gonna try to play fast, which is fine with us. We'll be happy to do that. What it comes down to is handling their pressure. We know what they're gonna do. We know how they're gonna do it. It's a matter of us just handling that and recognizing the situation and taking advantage of what will be there.
Coach, thank you, and stay tuned for a preview of Hersey game with head coach John Camardella.
Welcome back, everyone, to Week 3 of Prospect Basketball Weekly, brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings in Mount Prospect. Coach Camardella is back to preview the Hersey game on Friday. So, Coach, what stands out to you the most about that matchup on Friday?
Well, I think the biggest thing, looking back a couple of years, is there's going to be a lot of different names in this game that has traditionally had, over the last couple of years, the same names. A lot of guys have graduated and moved on for both teams. And so for us, it's sort of like the next chapter in the Hersey Prospect matchup. It'll be great to have a Friday night game here at Gene Walker, and we've got a couple days here to put together the scout and do our best to give our team a chance to win 5 in a row.
Okay. So, like you said, they lost a good amount of their contributors last year. Who will be some players that the team will need to contain on Friday?
I think the big one is Ronzio, who's a really, really good shooter. Hersey lost a tough one to Friend last night. And I think for us, it's a matter of looking ahead to not only who has played well thus far, but who has the possibility of playing well. I think that's a big part of the scout, is that you're not only looking to who's produced, but you're looking to who might produce. And it's always the job of staffs, but also players, is to recognize that you might have a scout that does this, but then all of a sudden has to flip. And that's why we got a staff. Coach Reibel and Coach Rathy and I, we communicate a lot. Last night we talked to our guys. You'll see in some timeouts, it might be me talking, it might be Rathy talking, it might be Reibel talking, but that our staff's on the same page, we have the same goals, and our players are receptive to all three of us.
Okay. What adjustments heading into the Hersey game do you think you'll need to make after seeing the team play against Elk Grove and Schaumburg?
I think the biggest thing with the way the Hersey defense has rotated in the past is trying to punch gaps and draw that weak side defender in. That's something that offensively we're going to look to right away, is see if we can get guys into the middle of the lane. Hersey's always been a pretty good defensive team. And then also, as we say, trying to control the glass on both ends. Yeah. Offensively, I think we've got some athletes that can get to the rim after shots go up, but that defensively that we limit second chance opportunities, which we've done a pretty good job. But in games where teams have stayed close or we've ended up losing, a lot of times it does come from the inability to be one and done with regards to defensive stops. Okay.
So your co-captains this year, David Sudura and Tim Lussenhop, have been playing really well together. Mm-hmm. What do you think they do well that allows them to coexist so well together on offense?
I think they respect each other's games, but they also allow each other to play in space. Yeah. I'll say it up front, is that in basketball, it's very easy to play with the ball. It takes a really special player to play off the ball. And what we've recognized this year, and we're only 6 games in, is that they don't need the ball. And what I mean by that is they're both very good at spacing the floor. They're good at getting guys involved. But that when one of them has the ball, the other doesn't need to go get it from the other. They're able to play off it. They're able to play in space. And that's what I've appreciated the most, is that if, for example, on a possession, one guy is on one side, the other guy doesn't just run towards them. Mm-hmm. They allow each other space to operate. And to me, it's a great sign of maturity and understanding of the game.
Okay. So do you think that kind of maturity and knowledge of the game has made it a little more easy to coach them this year?
Extremely. Yeah, because what it does is it allows us to focus more on the X's and O's, to recognize where there might be some deficiencies in the defense. I watch one side of the floor more than I watch the other. And that's the way that we feel that we have the best chance to win, is that we have our staff watching different sides of the floor so that we're seeing things as much as we can with a laser focus, and then communicating out when we need help. Okay.
So in your first home Friday night game of the season, what kind of atmosphere do you expect out of the Prospect fans?
Yeah, it's always one of the best ones. It's the Friday night East opener. Sometimes it's been on the road, other times it's been at home. I think what's really special about this Friday is that we are hosting a reunion for former coach Ron Ashley, coached during the 80s. We have a bunch of players from the 80s who are coming back with their wives, with their families, and I think that's going to add to this pack the place environment. And I know our guys are excited, and we've got a couple of days of practice to really get our team ready.
All right. Thank you so much, Coach Camardella. And that should do it for Week 3 of Prospect Basketball Weekly, brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings in Mount Prospect. We'll see you next week.